All right, 23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Religion is an interesting thing in our culture. I was a big fan of John Lennon, and when he did the song Imagine, he has the line, "Imagine no religion." And I thought, well, come on, John, I don't want to imagine no religion. I like the idea that there's a God. I believe in God. I don't want to imagine there is none. And I don't know if that's what he was talking about or not, but I have in my life, and maybe you have too, been very disappointed in religious leaders, with teachers of religion, with pastors, with authors, because they quite often, and it's not that they are subject to the same weaknesses as the rest of us. It's not that. It's that they don't really, seem to be about anything other than sometimes making money, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the guy. I don't remember his name, but there was a guy on TV, a television evangelist, and he would squint his eyes, and the whole broadcast was nothing but his face, basically. And he would squint his eyes, and he would say, "There's somebody listening right now who's got a heart ailment," and he would say something that sounded like he was speaking in tongues, and you would think he was, I don't know. And then if you send in money, don't worry if you don't have it in your account, because we're gonna. God will make sure it's there, and I'm sure many people did, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if people got the money or not. I do believe there's a God, and I do believe that there is this law of reciprocity. I don't know if our guest believes that or not.
Right.
But she makes some really good points in her book that speak to a lot of what I'm talking about right now. The book is called, do I have the right guess right? Robin? What are you looking at?
Oh yeah, no, I was just looking at the screen. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh,
I was
Unraveled.
doing it on the QT.
The book is called Unraveled Faith. Well, I hope that's the book cover. I put the book cover on the streaming video. Sharon Burgess is the author of the book. She grew up as the daughter of a pastor, but the book is a heart-wrenching story of how two women from opposite sides of the track find faith and redemption after uncovering many secrets in the church, which is an interesting look at this. And she says megachurches and pastors are living the life of rock stars. And yeah, I think so. I don't know what I said that might touch on our topic today, but Sharon, thank you for being on the air with us. It's an honor. Sharon Burgess, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Snellville, Georgia, a little town outside of Atlanta.
Snellville?
Uh-huh.
Is it slow? Is everything really slow there?
It probably used to be about 20 years ago, but now as people migrate into the area, it's almost like the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's very fast-paced.
Oh, really?
And that's how So, no, it's not like a snail.
Sometimes I want to live in Snellville. Sometimes I want that. I just want that slower pace, like the Andy Griffith Show and that kind of thing. So how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I've been I don't know if I've been a victim, as to say, but I've been taken in by some of these guys on TV. I've sent them money. I'll be honest with you, and then I don't know if I did the right thing or not. I don't know. I feel like I live in a mobile home and they live in these mansions. Well,
Yeah.
what's wrong with that picture?
For sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's what I kind of highlighted in my book through this wonderful love story that I've told about these two women that had become discontent with the church because of all the things they unraveled. But yeah, we have these pastors that are living in these multi-million-dollar homes, and you have regular people like myself, a single mother that works very hard, and you have elderly people in the church that are giving from their fixed income. I mean, so this book kind of really highlights not only that whole, I think, uncomfortable, unethical part of the ministry, but also kind of highlights, you mentioned earlier, the thing about religion. What is religion? Are we worshiping those four walls and that person up there delivering the message?
Right.
Or are we having developing a relationship with what we call our higher power, our God?
Yeah.
sometimes we make these people our God. And once we do that, you know, they're susceptible to do any type of thing. I mean, they're not held to a standard these days. I mean, we don't know what's happening with the monies in the church. And this is not all mega churches. Don't get me wrong. Don't, you know, think that I'm just, you know, anti-church. I'm not.
Right, yeah.
Because I'm a pastor's kid, and then I was actually married to a pastor, too. So I kind of have the inside scoop.
Yeah, you sure do. So, but I'm guessing you're not referring to your own dad.
No, I'm actually not. I mean, I grew up in a very small town, very small church. We all knew each other. But when I became an adult and moved away and moved to the big city, you know, on every corner there was a mega church. So I said, oh, let me stop in here and see what's going on. And, you know, I was mesmerized. I was drawn in.
Yeah.
You know, I could see from the big TV screens, I could see the hairs and the pastor's nose.
Oh, I know. Well, you know what? Here's my thought on this, that if there is a person, and I don't think it should be necessarily a man. I don't know if your religion says women shouldn't be pastors. I'm okay with it. But I think if a person can talk to the rest of us, and we can sort of say, you know, that sounds like the truth. Let me sit down and listen to the rest of this. Then that person, then that person is naturally going to attract a larger audience, and so that person is naturally a mega star in that, using that word. But the person who just has a clump of money somehow and sets up this big building with these big TV screens, and they don't even have the message that, you know what I mean? I think there's two types of them. I think there are the natural ones and the self-made ones. You know.
Oh, yeah, then the self-made ones, they are very charismatic. They know that, you know, and most people are a good-hearted people, and most people want to feel that when they die, they're going to go to heaven. Am I right? No one will say,
everybody.
Thinks, okay, I'm going to die and I want to go to hell. No one thinks that.
No, nobody thinks that.
So, you know, these...
everybody has their own I'm going to heaven, by the way.
Yeah. I'm going to heaven.
You go to the church, if you don't believe this, you're not going to heaven. It's, holy cow, that's different from what the other guy told me.
And if someone tells you, okay, I have a key to the kingdom for you, I have a direct connection with the master, the maker. I mean, wouldn't you say, okay, can you tell him to get me into?
Yeah, I've had so many questions. Well, tell me about the two women. Let's. I feel like we're drifting a little bit, and I want to be fair to the book. The book is called Unraveled Faith. So tell me, are you one of the two women?
Well, one of the characteristics, you know, one of them, no, I'm not. But the book is fiction. So some of my personality, it kind of spills over into the book with one of the characters. Her name is Delilah, the main character. So some parts of her is kind of me, but I'm not going to tell you which part. That's for to read and find out. So Lila and Desiree, they're from, you know, Lila is from, you know, small family, loving family, Christian background, and she really wants to do the right thing, but her life takes on these unfortunate turmoil when she married her college love, and he became addicted to drugs, and, you know, she found herself going to the church to ask for help. So in asking for help, you know, the financial people at the church says, well, let me check your records and see how much you've given.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a true story. That's a true story that happened to someone that I know.
Wow.
So there are a lot of truths in the book. The names are changed to protect the innocent.
Wow.
So her best friend, who is this like urban, flamboyant, a young lady, her feelings all along was like, I'm not going to church. I don't do church people. They're all fake and phony. And Lila's like, no, she's so innocent. No, they're not. Please come to my church. So she convinces her girlfriend to come along. Oh, my gosh. And then I can't tell you what really happens, but you have to read the book.
You have to read the book, yeah.
So many things became truths to Lila that Desiree found out about the church, her own sweet mega church, and Lila is just like she's in a state of confusion. She doesn't know what to do because this is her sanctuary.
So the redemption that they discover, I'm basing my question on the subtitle, the redemption that they discover, is it religious redemption or is it just redemption? In other words, gosh, I should have seen this all along, that it was phony. What kind of redemption do they experience?
Several things. Both of their lives, they had these things going on in their lives that really took them down dark paths. For example, Desiree, in her life, she had an abortion. She had a child she had seen and given away. So when everything began to unravel in the church, this book and their lives led them back to a true relationship with God, because we get lost in the hoopla. But in the end, they understood more that God loves them regardless of what happens in your life, regardless if you fall by the wayside, because we're all fallible. So this book really entails what a lot of us go through in life, the ups and downs, the turmoil, and then compounded having, discontent with your church. You find out all of these things that are these immoral things that are happening, that can just spin anyone out of control. And I meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
They say, why should I go to church? I know this is happening. I heard that's happening.
But
Exactly.
I know. I know. The
Exactly.
conversation is similar to the conversation you might have about a good mechanic, though. If you have a bad mechanic, everybody says, don't go to him. He's going to put a muffler on. It's going to fall right off. Or I'm just using an example. But when you find a good mechanic, everybody says you got to go to this guy, or even a lady. It's a good mechanic. Same thing is with a pastor. I think when you find a good pastor, you say, okay, now this person I can trust. This person is teaching me the faith that I want to learn about, because ultimately I feel, this is just my own personal feeling about this, the Ten Commandments, one of them says, thou shalt not bear false witness, which means I'm not supposed to lie, okay? And if you ask me, have I ever spoken to God, I'll say, yes, I speak to him all the time. Well, have you ever heard the voice of God? I'm going to say, I'm not sure. I don't know. That's the real truth. I've had thoughts, and I don't know if they're mine or they come from God. But if I tell you I know for sure, then I'm lying to you. Now, you might know for sure, but I don't know for me, And I think that's what I think they fall short on, is when they say they know.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, everyone wants to know that they're going to go to heaven, and when you tell someone this is what you want, and they don't have a good heart, they just want to feed into you what you want and get your money. This is what happens. So the book is really, Larry, is to bring awareness to your faith.
And it seems like some of those pastors have a lot of charisma, and then all of a sudden they'll have these they'll get these followers with them, and they'll have charisma over the followers, and then the followers are the ones that are responsible for getting money and recruiting people to the church to make it a mega
absolutely.
church.
Just like Scientology, same, different types of aspects, but bottom line, the same thing as what you're saying. You recruit people into this almost cultish type atmosphere, and I'm not saying it is a cult, but when you recruit people and they can't get out of it, that Leah Remy, I don't know if you saw that story on TV, that she highlighted the whole Church of Scientology, what had happened to her.
Oh yes.
And so the same thing with some of the other, the mega churches, even though they're, Christian background, they're supposed to be doing the right thing by people. And I'm not saying that all mega churches are this way. I happen to really love Joel Osteen. I like his message. I like that he, really, he gives a good message. It's not about money. It's about your own personal growth in God. I do like that. But you really have to be careful, because there are wolf in sheep clothing that are pretending to be leaders of God, and the idea is to convince you that they are, but at the same token, they want you to bring wealth to their lives and not wealth to your life. So the whole book is really about taking another look, higher level at your spiritual conscious, and understand better that you're not worshiping or should not worship the four walls, the building, the material things, and really have a true relationship with God.
Yeah, you shouldn't even worship the person delivering the message.
Right.
No.
Yeah, it's a... it's really...
We do that.
We
do that. Even in Catholicism, we do that. And then when these popes archbishops or whatever they're called, when they're found to, and I think I just heard in the news somewhere, one of the
cardinals
in Australia,
cardinals, yeah, whatever they're, is now being allegedly for sexual misconduct. Something is going on in the church there. So, I mean, people that are Catholics, I can imagine them feeling, oh my God, I can't believe this person that I really believed in is doing this.
But here's the other side of this. The other side of this is that the media in general doesn't like to believe in God, or doesn't like to give you information that would help you believe in God, or you know what I mean? Like when there's a story of somebody who is thanking God for, and this happens, I see it all the time because I do the news. I'll see a local story, for example, somebody gets saved from an alligator. I'll just I'll just make up a story, and they will say, and I thank God because I feel like it was God that saved me from that. The story won't put that part in there. They won't say, oh, I want to thank God for that. But I know it because I heard the tape. And
wow.
I'll go, well, they're just leaving God out of it. And so because of that culture, that anti-religious culture, they like to promote stories about that, like that cardinal in Australia. And meanwhile, that's the same as saying that there's a man in the Bronx who's a rapist, and that means all men in the Bronx are rapists.
Right.
It's not. I mean, most of them are not. I'm guessing most people who've devoted themselves to a life of ministry truly do have the best interests at heart, and they don't have stars in their eyes like a rock star. But there are some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I think you're pointing out.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I've just learned only about 3% of the population actually attend church of the United States. They actually go to church, even though there's a church on every corner, just about in every city and every state. Yeah, because people are falling away because I think that, they see more of what's portrayed on television, and they rely on what's being told to them as opposed to them themselves finding their true relationship, sitting down, reading, and understanding themselves and understanding, their place with God. We want someone to tell us, to lead us, to guide us, and that's what puts us in these types of situations with these pastors that don't have a good heart.
Yeah.
But then you have the pastors from the smaller churches. They still have a really, really great message that they give out, but their parishionership is not as large as the mega churches. And I think that's slapping the smaller churches and the pastors in the face.
Yeah, I think more people are starting to go back to that small, that humble, that heartfelt kind of place where it's not all about the hoopla, the big screen TVs, the big cars, the expensive cars, the big church. I think people are going to gravitate back to that place.
I think so too. Well, I equate it to restaurants. If we say, I don't want to go to church because everybody in there is a hypocrite, I look at it like this. If we had a restaurant in town that served delicious food, but they would not let anybody in the door unless they were hungry, then that would be the perfect church. Because the perfect church says, look, I don't want you to come here if you're already perfect. I want you to come here if you need to have some help from God, if you need some evidence of God.
Right.
If you're hungry, then come on in. If you're not hungry, let somebody else come in. And so therefore, you're going to have a bunch of hungry people in there. And guess what? Hungry people are hangry people, to use a new word, right? And so this, the same thing for the small church versus like the small restaurant, the mom and pop, the guy who cooks the food can come out and say, hey, how is it? It's good. Hey, but next time, could you make my eggs this way? In a big church, you can't go. It's kind of hard to approach the pastor. It's like going up to Mick Jagger, at a concert in the Rolling Stones or something. He's inaccessible.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
But but I also think it's not just the fault of the pastor for this, because then you've got some of the parishioners that they dress to the nines, and that if anybody comes in there that's not as impeccably dressed as they are, they just diss them. They don't want to be associated with them at all and will not welcome them.
I haven't seen a whole lot of that, but what I do want to, convey is that when it comes to church, there are going to be broken people in the church. There are going to be very good people, good hearts. There are going to be people that come just to be in the midst, that doesn't have good intentions. But when you look at that leader of the church, that person is supposed to guide those people that have come in with all these issues, these problems, have it set up where these people are understanding more about the love of God and what we should do as a people to help each other. But if you're not doing that, and your ultimate goal is to get that money so that you can build another church and then get a jet so you can fly around the world to all of your churches, that's a problem.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think so. Well, you know what the book does? It opens up this kind of conversation, and I think this is healthy conversation. You know why?
I think so.
Because I think the person who has given up on church hears this kind of conversation from three people who obviously are faithful. We do believe in
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're disappointed in some of the people who are
The leaders.
Yes, thank you. And so I think that's what your book does. It shows the reader who's maybe the person who's given up on faith, who says, yeah, this is exactly what I believe, but wait a minute, there is redemption, and there is real faith, and there is a real God.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book gives a very good overview of, these two ladies that lost their way after uncovering immoral, unethical things in the church that was, led by the pastor. So in the end, it really was a good thing for them, because they were worshiping the person delivering the message, as opposed to really taking a look at their lives and worshiping God. So, yeah.
Is your father still a pastor?
He is.
Well, good for you. It sounds like you've got a good father. It sounds like you and he probably get along, I'm guessing. And I'm guessing he loves the book.
He's proud of you, I bet you.
Yeah, there's some parts in the book I'm sure he cringed when he read it, because everything. It has sex, lies, and I won't say videotapes. But
Nice.
Like I said, I changed the name to protect the innocent, so this is a great book to read.
Sharon, you have shown us that we are all human and that there is a God, and at the same time, humans sometimes will pretend they are, or, oh gosh, I can't tell you how many people I've met who say, I know I'm close to God, closer than you are, and I was like, okay, whatever. All right, Unraveled Faith is the book. I have the cover of it on the streaming video. We'll share the video online later on, and right now it's live.
And you can purchase on Amazon.com. You can purchase the book on Amazon.com, or you can go to my website, SharonBBurgess.com.
SharonBBurgess.com. Okay, thank you for sharing that with us, Sharon. Thank you so much. Have a great 4th of July weekend. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu, defending the president.
This is a man who's doing what he can do on behalf of America's women.
Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, on Fox and Friends, saying the president has the right to defend himself as he gets criticized for tweets against the co-hosts of MSNBC's Morning Joe, one of them, Mika Brzezinski, on MSNBC.
He appears to have a fragile, impetuous, childlike ego that we've seen over and over again, especially with women. It's like he can't take it.
A top Iranian diplomat slamming